Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mad Mamluks podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts Mort and Noreen. How y'all doing this evening?
I'm good. I think you moved my camera.
Did I move your camera?
I
Hey,
think
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. So we had a photo shoot yesterday, so we kind of moved things around in the room. So
Yeah.
apologies.
I'll fix you later.
No, I adjusted myself. I think I'm good.
Okay, cool. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors before we start rambling on. Last time we did an episode, we forgot about it. halfardeen.com, the private matrimonial website. What does private mean? It means you don't become the talk of the town for all the aunties when you get set up on a matrimonial website. Go to halfardeen.com and get set up. Noreen is really distracting me right now with a lot of hand gestures. Blame her. All right. And secondly, wahidinvests.com. You got your family going with Hafardeen. You want to start investing in a Sharia compliant manner. Want to invest in companies that are practicing or selling halal products. You don't want to invest in Oscar Mayer wieners because they sell pork. So you want to make sure that you're obviously you want to make sure your money is is being invested in halal companies. Wahid Invest does that for you. So once you accumulate some of that wealth, guess what? All good things come to an end, and you end up passing away. You want to make sure a will is there for you. Go to mindwastia.com. They have an automated will system that is set up for you to create a Sharia-compliant will that can be made in as little as 15 minutes. You just get that printed out. You go to a notarizer, and then they print it. Everyone knows about people in their family who got into fights about money and inheritance and things not being distributed properly. Look over to your brother and sister right now. Look over to him and smile. That guy can be fighting with you, fighting for your money. No reason for fights to happen. We're Muslims. We don't need fights, especially about money.
We don't fight. We have wills.
Yeah, we that's why a will is so important.
I wonder if these feminists fight over that the men get 2/3.
Oh yeah, that's what
Right?
that was one of the main things that when we talk about women's rights, it's separate from feminism, because feminism that has a problem with you inheriting less money than your male siblings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things about why we always encourage women that you fight for women's rights, not for feminism.
Oh,
Okay, because-
so when I said I'm into the Islamic feminism, people are laughing.
No, because you're ascribing imagine you saying Islamic Christianity or Islamic capitalism. These are ideologies. They
Or
come
Muslim
from,
atheist.
yeah, or Islamic communism or Islamic socialism. This is not
Oh.
Islam is an ideology in and of itself. It doesn't need hyphens associated with it. So, for example, there's one of our guests who wrote a book, or Fahad Khan. He's a psychiatrist or psychologist. He was part of an institute that practices Islamically integrated psychotherapy. Now, is psychotherapy an ideology? No, it can be perfectly coexisting with a certain practice, right? So you can have Islam associated with that hyphenated term. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Did I lose anyone?
Right. I got it.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Anyway, we got some shout outs to
Yeah.
do before we get too heated in here. I was kind of scared Mort would jump on something I said and call me out.
Are we?
Yeah.
Here we go.
All right.
All right. So we did our launch good. We have 10 days left, guys. So get your donations in.
I need your money.
Yeah, we need your money. So we've got, these are our top fans so far who have donated $50 or more. So we gave shout outs to the people on the left last week. So today we're going to give shout outs to Zubair Dawood. Zubair, I got your t-shirt out, so you can stop whining about it. Abdullah.
Was he really whining? You exaggerate every single
Wow.
person. They were probably just saying like,
Wow.
"Hey, I just want to just calling, double checking. You sent out my shirt. I haven't seen it yet."
He actually didn't ask at all.
Wow.
He actually didn't ask. He was just lurking, and I was like, he's just a lurker. He just wants his t-shirt.
Wow,
He's
why,
gonna
why
leave.
do you keep insulting the guy? He donated to us. It's lurking, stalking, whining.
She's a
What's
bully.
wrong with you?
See, the listeners are seeing her true side. They always
Yeah,
think
this
that
is
I'm the
how
scary one.
she is.
I have a mean face, and then she's like the angel here. This is
Hey, I keep
daily
things
routine.
entertaining, okay?
We have witnesses now who will see the oppression that Sim experiences every day. It's over.
A'udhu billah.
All right. So our next shout out goes to Abdullahi Aminu. Aminu, is that how you say it? He's in Dubai, I think. And I think he's a Nigerian prince who sends.
No, it sounds like a Somali name.
No, he said he's Nigerian. He said.
Is he a prince?
MashaAllah.
Is he seriously a prince?
No.
Okay.
We were joking about those Nigerian princes.
This is why you guys got to join the $100 tier, where you can join our WhatsApp group where everyone is joining in. Remember, even if you put in a little bit, you can pay the difference and join the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
We're having a blast in there. You guys are missing out.
All right. Next shout out goes to our one and only Tanzim Alim, our Boys in the Cave.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah,
Tanzim.
they're our partners. The Boys in Cave podcast out in Australia. So he ponied up a couple extra dollars and got into that WhatsApp group, and we're having a good time. All right. Next up is Farheen Dayala. She's my girl, my marketing girl. I found her on Twitter. That's my running joke with her. Found her off the streets of Twitter, and she helps us with our digital marketing needs. Next up is Adam Jamal. I have nothing to say that Adam Jamal has. He talks in there. Oh, Adam. Oh, he's the Quranic guy. Yeah, he's got this app where they teach you Quran with what's the word he used? Gamification?
Gamification?
Something like they made it into a game, like learning Quran into like a game.
Yeah.
On an app. So I was like, I'm sold. I'm
Right.
totally going to download that app. Because I did like some Arabic classes and traditional like in school, and it just it's
I saw that.
hard,
You were,
dude.
reading Arabic in the text. I was actually surprised. 'cause
Yeah, I
Simpson
did.
do that in
Yeah,
Arabic,
I did.
so
I did
was actually
Fawakeh.
surprised.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
So
look at you! Look
yeah,
at
I've got up to level 2. So.
Level 2?
Look at
You
you.
got
Yeah.
farther than I did.
All
No, she
right,
didn't.
next up.
I went
you.
farther.
So after this, I'll tell
I
you
forgot
guys a
it all,
story
though.
about Sim and Arabic classes.
Oh no.
Oh, please don't.
Okay. All right. Adil Mysorwala. Mysorwala? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Anyone?
He's from Mysore.
Do you guys know Adil? Like personally? Does anyone know him personally?
No, I don't know, but I'd like to get to know you,
Well,
buddy.
thank you so much for your support. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you, brother.
And next up, Yusuf Chaudhry, our Sims man of the hour right
I
now,
love this
right?
guy. This guy has untangled a lot of internet terms that I'm in IT and I'm getting lost. In
Wait,
a lot
what's his name on YouTube? He has this. What's the guy? He does like marketing, right? What's his name?
Right. Yusuf Chaudhry.
No, but he's built like this entire persona. What's the name? I forgot it.
Oh, he does?
He's got a
Yeah,
persona.
dude.
Well, Yusuf will join the chat later and he'll tell us.
Oh,
what it is.
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that.
Yusuf, feel free to advertise your business in our chat.
It is great, dude. I was watching some of his videos earlier today because I actually stalked him on LinkedIn. He popped up in my LinkedIn type of thing, and I thought, oh my god, I recognize the guy. And then I click on his stuff, and it's all like this marketing stuff. But he has like this cool branding thing that he does. I'll try to find it later.
Cool.
All right, next up is our platinum donor, Imran
Ooh.
Khan.
Platinum.
$1,000.
That's right, President Imran Khan.
Mashallah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, dude, from the bottom of our hearts. We're incredibly grateful. We didn't imagine anyone would ever. We almost did it as a prank. We're like, well, no one will probably do it, but thank you so
No,
much,
man.
man. Thank you.
People
Jazakallah
believe in us. And next up is Salman Ali. Jazakallah khair for your donation. And last but not least, I have to give a repeat shout out to Haris Amin from New Jersey, the eye doctor. He was another whiner in the chat.
Oh, man. Love you, Haris. Haris has been a supporter from a long time.
Yeah. Oh, that's who it is. I had no idea. I forgot you're on Twitter, but you have your name like in those weird letters and stuff.
So his
Yes.
Haris was telling me about his car's like GPS system, or I don't know if he actually told me in person. No, he was telling me in a DM on one of these social platforms, and he was saying that his car interprets all of our episodes as heavy metal artists. So it'll say like one of the episodes name is Blizzard of Oz, which is Ozzy Osbourne's first album, and it'll say so he was listening to Blizzard of Oz or something. I don't know which one, Haris, don't kill me, but he was listening to that episode. And as many of the listeners know, I name a lot of the episode titles after music and musical references and things like that. Or don't worry, you're not being programmed or anything. But
Wait, you put that list of top fans in the screen, like they saw that, right?
yeah, they saw this forever.
Oh, okay, good. Just
You fine?
making sure.
You happy?
Yeah,
There's
I'm
Imran.
happy.
And there's
Because
some
I spent a lot of time making that little image, guys. So
okay.
a lot of love went into that.
But anyway, yeah, his car is always referencing him to heavy metal, and he ends up having to listen to my stuff.
Oh wow.
Anyway,
All right, love to you, Horace. I'm just messing with you. All right, next. What's up?
Okay, make sure you like and subscribe this video. Just do it right now, please. Love you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very important.
I found it. He's the optimization guy. That's his name.
Optimization guy.
Yeah, I saw his videos. You got to check it out. We'll let him promote his stuff later on in the text.
Yeah,
but good stuff. I was surprised. I was really
Is Mort's mic a little loud?
Is it loud?
On mine, it's like a little loud.
Maybe bring that slider
down.
down.
Don't touch that. Don't touch that.
No, he moved.
Okay.
I got it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, there we go.
Okay,
All
good.
right. All right. So what do we have on the agenda tonight, guys?
I was watching a video. I'm gonna throw Mort a curveball. Mort, you will not. I didn't give you any heads up about this, but I was watching an Ali Dawah video, and he was talking about. I don't know if anyone's paying attention to some of this drama that's happening with Ali Dawah and Mohammed Hijab and Dina Tokyo and Sid. Sid is Dina Tokyo's husband, and you guys must have seen the episode we did a couple weeks ago about them having that one sister who published it.
That was last week.
That was last week, right?
Yeah.
So a sister ends up putting a blog post on Dina's website saying that, Muslim women should be allowed to marry non-Muslim men,
Mm-hmm. But then she took it down.
She ended up taking it down, but anyway, Ali Dawah and them had advised her before they published their own video about it, and they got Dina got upset that Dina ignored that video that they sent to her, like giving them advice, like, hey, don't publish this junk and take it down. They didn't say it. They're saying it in a much more respectful manner than I am, but essentially,
did he reach out to Dina or her husband?
Her husband, and it fell on deaf ears. They end up publishing their video, and Dina files a copyright claim against Mohammed Hijab.
When he didn't even use anything.
For those who don't know what a copyright claim is on YouTube, YouTubers in general, they're very sensitive about this. When you get 3 strikes and your channel is done. So she said that he took material from her video and put it on his own videos, and he didn't do anything of that sort. So he didn't use anything from Dina's videos in his own video, and she filed a copyright claim just to shut him down. You understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So he gets a letter from YouTube saying that your video has been pulled down. You get a 1 copyright strike. And he's like, what the heck? I didn't use anything. I just was advising the sister on, why we shouldn't have this type of discourse. And so anyway, they have some more DM wars on Twitter or one of these social media websites. And Sid and Ali Dawah, I think one of those two, or Mohammed Hijab, get into a verbal spat, but Sid apparently is the one who's using all the foul language. They don't publish any of this stuff. They're just talking about this on their channel. Anyway,
Mohammed Hijab is a big dude, so.
But anyway, so let me just cut to the chase. He ends up. What's his name? Ali Dawah says, I'm not like one of those guys who says to the sister to leave Islam. And there's other YouTubers. He makes a reference to other YouTubers suggesting that sister to leave Islam, and I think that was something that you made as a passing comment. I'm sure they saw your video.
Oh my God!
They saw Mort saying,
"That's good."
Remember what you were saying? There were some people who got upset about that in the comments. They were like,
so wait, before you get all crazy about this, let me just make a clarification here, because people take what I say out of context, and I feel like a lot of people. I think I'm too logical for most people. I think most people are too emotional. So let me just bring this to light here for a moment. When I say this thing, what I'm talking about is people that have an utter
disregard,
disregard and disgust for rules within Islam, and they seek to change it because they're culturally Muslims, and they want to change Islam to cater to their own lifestyle.
That's right.
So in essence, what it is that they practice Islam around their lifestyle when in fact, it should be their lifestyle around Islam. And there are huge movements of people like this who are questioning laws of inheritance.
Yeah.
The issues of, why Muslim women can't marry non-Muslim men, right? The issue of why Muslim women can't have more than one husband, right? The issue of, LGBT issue, drinking, or LGBTQ drinking, all of these issues, they're challenging them. And to the point where we have even some people within some bodies of Muslim groups that are actually saying that the Quran needs to be reformed and you need to pull out verses. They want to publish secondary copies of the Quran that are modern Qurans. And in light of all that, I say to these people, if you want to change Islam, you have a disregard for our 1,400 years of scholarship, and you don't lack the proper credentials to actually try to understand. Like, what I'm saying is, you're not actually bringing a valid opinion. You're simply going on your desires. If you want to do that, leave Islam, because you can't change the religion. It's like going into, Christianity and saying, you know what, I'm going to change the whole religion and say, you know what, Jesus is no more a central figure in Christianity.
Okay.
What is the religion then?
But I think what people are getting upset about is they're saying, why do you have to tell them to go to the action? Why can't you say, let me educate you, brother or sister. Let me teach you, why don't you open some...
Yeah,
because that's why we have brothers like Ali Dawah and Mohammed Hijab, because they can take the time and do that. For me, I'm a very realist person. I feel like these people... Here's the thing. Listen, I feel like in general, Allah guides who He wants to guide, right? There's no doubt about
that's
that.
with everything.
Right. So what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, right, I believe there are people who they know these things, and these aren't people that are like who don't know anything about the religion. They know the religion and they play with it. So how do you convince someone of that? If they're playing with the religion, they know what's right and wrong. They've gone to. I will even argue that they probably know they have to go all the way to weak opinions in books, very strange opinions, and bring those to light. People like Amina Wadud. Right? How did it start? How did her whole saga start? She picked up a weak opinion from a school of thought that no longer is around, that women can lead men.
But
right?
more you see, as Muslims, we want salvation, man. We can't ever tell people to abandon the religion, because as long as they believe in the Shahada, there's a way back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what Abu Bakr said to the people of who wanted to not give zakah anymore. They wanted to change the fundamental. So what do you say to them?
Well, he didn't tell
Did
them.
he beg them and say, "Oh, wait, stop"? No, he said either you do it or you don't.
But he didn't tell them. He didn't tell them to stop being Muslim.
He told them you're not Muslim, and he went to war with them.
Well, that's because it's one of the 5 pillars. That's like different.
I'm just saying, but this is leading to that. I mean, are we going to say that whatever the Prophet says, like, now it's just conditional now? That, it's not the 5 pillar, but it's conditional. Yeah. And we can actually just open it up for people just to change it because in the name of keeping them in Islam? No, I don't believe that.
I see where you're coming from, but we have to make sure that's like something so far down the line that you have to do your utmost, making sure that, that person gets salvation, because we know so well through the Quran and what the punishment is for people who don't accept the religion and who end up being sent to hell. We know what a painful place that is, and we never want that for anyone.
And the Prophet ﷺ was so gentle, the way he, did his dawah. Like, I mean, he was so compassionate, so gentle, and so understanding. Like, he wasn't harsh like that. Like, oh, just leave the religion. Fine, you're not gonna listen to me. Just get out of my face. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
so yeah, I get it, but I think there's 2 types of people. Like, if you want to I'm not saying I'm like any of the Sahaba or the Prophet is like any of these people today, but let's just say the methodology of the Prophet is more like maybe Ali Dawah, right? Soft and inviting. I prefer to be like Umar. I mean, if you mess up, there's no room for you. I mean, look, right now, I feel the reason why I feel that way is because we have a lot of encouraging people. I feel like we have too many of them, that the line is becoming so blurred now, because I get it. Genuinely, they're coming from a good place. I don't question how they bring people to Islam. That's perfectly, I'm not questioning.
My main thing, Mort, is I think just don't put your junk. Don't put that junk on the internet.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do in your privacy
Dude, if
of
she
your
did this
home.
privately, I have no problem. Dude, my problem is you have content creators that are calling young people to this stuff. I mean, it's not just this. It's not just her. I'm not. This is not an attack on her. I don't even think what she did is super bad. I mean, compared to what is out there right now. I'm talking about this generational mentality that exists today, right? About inclusion and having to talk about, bending over for LGBTQ stuff, and then accepting all these this postmodernist idea of questioning everything and seeing if it's relevant to you or not. Right. And for me, that is problematic. If you don't like Islam, it's very simple. Don't be a Muslim. Don't try to change our religion. If you really have fundamental problems with Islam, with the core beliefs, the tenets that we have, why are you bending over backward trying to be a Muslim? It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, well, let's break down what happened here, okay? There's this young 21-year-old girl who wrote this article. She was probably a follower of Dina, right?
Yeah, that's how most of these blogs start up.
So she asked Dina, "Hey Dina, I wrote this piece. Is it worthy enough to be on your blog?" Right? So Dina is really truly Dina's mistake for putting it on her blog.
Yeah.
Right? Because this young girl who knows very little at this point of life, at 20 years, she has so much more to learn about the deen. For Dina, who's like 30 or close to 30, whatever, to allow this young girl to take her thing and put on her platform where she has like 500,000 followers.
Yeah.
That's where the issue lied.
So time out for a second. I'm going to give Dina the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to say, you know what? Some fan probably reached out. Hey, can you promote this for me? She's like, fine. Probably didn't even really read it all the way through. And probably just retweeted it.
Yeah.
Right. Out of goodness
you just threw it on I've done that.
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a shout out and give you some publicity, whatever, fine. And didn't realize what happened. And probably later on, she probably said, oh my God, this is actually totally wrong.
But you know what? That happens often with many outlets, right? And they end up retracting it and issue an apology. She just retracts it.
I've retweeted stuff from people that I like, but then I went to go look at their Twitter feed and I'm like, I hate this person. And I untweeted it. You know what I mean?
It happens. It happens to everyone, and that's not what anyone's really upset about. I think what she did was inexcusable by making a false copyright claim, which YouTube needs to look into, because that was garbage what she did. There was nothing. I saw that video.
I just saw part of that video too, and I think you're right, Sim.
And then she tweets out something, a trolling comment saying, if you use my name in your title of your video, then I own you. That's what she said. There's screenshots of that.
I'll let you know right now. You can tell. I mean,
what, did she trademark her name?
I mean, yeah. I mean,
she might have.
Whatever it is, look. YouTube is not the only platform. Yeah. Let me shake up your world, girlfriend. YouTube is not the only world of people. There's Twitter, there's Facebook, there's many other things that people can utilize. So just because you might have a pull on YouTube or whatever, you shouldn't be threatening people. Because just as quick as you want to bring people down for false allegations, someone could easily do that to you in a blink of an eye. And if you do that to your own community, don't expect anybody from your community to back you when someone does something to you.
Well, I'm surprised, because it's like the people who cry the most for freedom of speech are the first people who want to shut people up as soon as they start taking a little bit of heat. They want to, pull the plug on Alex Jones. I don't agree with a single thing, or not single thing, but the guy everyone has a few sprinkles of truth, but the vast majority of what Alex Jones says is garbage, and he's a maniac in every sense of the word. But should they have pulled the plug on him on Twitter? No. Or on YouTube. That's ridiculous.
I agree 100%.
Because now you've set a precedence for every other. Now imagine when there's an army of people who don't like the Mad Mamluks and they want to shut down. That's what they'll do. They'll start, thumbs downing it and reporting all of our videos to YouTube. And guess what? We get shut down just because we have an intelligent, coherent argument that they don't have an answer to. So what? That's a dangerous precedent.
What's funny is that what's going to happen now, I feel like this is what's going to happen. If you retaliate, there, there's going to be this feminazi army of like people who are going to say, oh, you're shaming women, you're doing this, you're targeting her because she's a woman,
Right.
you're misogynist, you're this. And yeah, for me, I don't mind. I welcome that. It doesn't bother me. People can label me all they want. I just feel that I don't want any of that to come on to the Mad Maluks, because none of these guys feel, I mean, as maybe, you know, or maybe my views are my own. But the thing is,
Are you too passionate? More? Do you think you need to control your passions? People say that.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But this is who I am, and I don't feel like I mean, I don't try to be offensive. I think that's where I look at myself and I say, hey, am I saying things because I'm trying to be offensive, or I'm trying to insult somebody, or am I genuinely speaking?
I'm glad you said that, because a lot of times you wonder, like, you know, you watch a lot of other YouTubers and other pundits and critics, and you wonder whether they actually do any form of self-analysis or you know, critical thinking in trying to figure out why they act the way they do. And it's awesome that you do that.
At times, I also think, hey, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have said it that way. You know, I am critical of myself. You know, I have people that reach out to me even in DM and say, hey, maybe that's not the right way to say it. Yeah. And I acknowledge it. But my problem is that when I get into a flow of thoughts, I just say something. And I have no problem with anybody coming later on and saying, hey, you know what you said about, you know, them not being Muslims anymore or leaving Islam is not really cool. Hey, you know what? I can actually see your perspective of it, but I'm telling you why I said it. Now, could I have said it in a better way? Possibly, yes. But I feel like this is one of the reasons why some people like me, because I'm just, you know, I'm raw. I'm unedited. I will tell you what I feel, and I can be wrong. I'm not always right. I'm probably wrong majority of the times. But I feel like that we should be able to say what we feel, as long as I'm not intending to insult somebody. I'm not cursing you. I'm not ridiculing you. Yeah.
Some people are saying that on Taboo Thursdays, you say stuff for shock value, like when I'm kind of talking about you know, males being getting more energy and more circulation after working out and losing some weight.
Yeah, you took it to another level.
You'll just
what did I say?
I don't know.
Well, apparently some people said that they don't like you saying. You said erection, so apparently that.
Just bring it down a notch, okay?
No, I'm saying this is that was Taboo Thursday. Have I said that on Mad Mondays?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm like, well, why are you getting upset?
Like, here's the thing.
Taboo
I'm going to be honest.
Taboo Thursdays
is what for. That's like watching an R movie and saying, I can't believe I heard a curse word.
Yeah, Taboo Thursdays.
It's going to be something taboo.
It's going to be something that is not, you know, really.
Like, grow up, dude.
No.
And the funny part is,
there's other exclusives that he could have used.
You can say the same thing with a little bit of more decorum, okay?
I don't know how to say it with the more. I mean, I'm not that articulate.
Wait. What?
I don't know how.
Oh, you're not articulate. You can talk like
your male member gets up. I mean, what do you want me to say? You know?
No.
Get excited.
I got to side with Mort. You know what?
Something.
I got to side with Mort on this one. I think that an erection is a perfectly legitimate.
It's a medical term
that's used by scholars and everyone. The erection should not upset you.
I don't know if that was the only.
If he said like. You know, if he used other choice words,
like a B-O-N, if I said that word, that would have been different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't say that. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to say.
It's just.
I mean, look, hey, you know what? I'll be honest, dude. Sim knows me very well. I'm gonna offend some people, and some people are gonna love me. If you don't like me, I'm sorry. I don't intend to.
Okay, let me just hold on. Let me just put it this way, Mort. We talked about this. You've been his friend the whole, you know, before I even married Sim, and you and I have not even interacted as much as we have in the last 2 years since, you know, or 3 years, not even 3 years, 2 years maybe of Mad Maluks, right? And you talked about one of the episodes, you know, that you respected Sim's ghira, whatever his, you know, husbandly jealousy, whatever, you know, but for you, now I'm on this podcast, and yes, like you say, I'm one of the fellas, like we can talk about anything, it's cool, but just bring it down just a notch, you know, just a little, you know.
Okay, no, I mean, if you want to, but the thing is, like, here's the thing, though. The thing is, I don't even think that word was that bad.
I don't think so either. That's what I'm curious about. Like,
if you were to open, I mean, think about it, dude. If I were to say, if I wanted to talk among the guys, I could have used so many different words. I could have gone into so many details about why losing weight is better for you and why your sex life will be better.
I don't know. Let's ask the listeners. Mort. Let's ask the listeners. Okay. There's a bunch of people in the chat.
What is the part that really offended somebody? We need to find that out.
No, someone really genuinely didn't like you saying erection. That's what I'm saying. And
that was what it was.
I thought.
Okay. So listeners in the chat, if we want to talk about a male getting aroused. Right? How and we're talking.
You could have said it just like that.
No, because it's not. Arousal is different.
No, arousal is different.
Can be, we're talking actually physically about a man losing weight and being fit, how that helps him physically. And one of the ways is that people are suffering from erectile dysfunction, right? And we say that as a medical term. So erection, what's the problem? I don't understand.
I'm with you. I'm normally policing Mort, but this time I got to take his side because.
Sir. Thank you.
This is there's a level. There's always certain words that once in a while you'll say some words that not that one, but on previous episodes that I find like might be a little bit pushing the edge, but
like what well, I mean,
what was that one time what you said? What was the word you said?
Oh my God, do we have to repeat words?
Well,
maybe it was HOR that one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was Taboo Thursday. Come on, dude. I mean, we're talking to probably a lot of guys who are feeling that way anyways.
I'm not getting triggered, by the way. You know me. I'm not. As long as you don't swear.
Look, I feel safe because my husband's here.
Yeah, but you know what?
Well, who else is there?
The reason why is sometimes I forget you're even on the show. Like, I don't even see you because I'm looking at Sim most of the time because I don't see him in our Zoom conversation.
Okay.
And then I hear you, and I'm like, oh, yeah, she's in the show.
So I'm looking for the listeners to see what they think.
Is Mort crossing the line? Tell us, listeners. We need to know.
Okay, someone said
is on trial.
Mort's trying to be Maheen shock level.
No.
Someone said
Maheen and Mort are two completely different people. I mean, Mort was always like this. You can ask. He's pretty well known around Chicago. Anyone in Chicago will know Mort is loud and abrasive, and he speaks his mind. It's one of the reasons why I wanted him on the show, because he's not afraid to say what he's thinking, and sometimes that comes at a cost.
All right. Someone said Mort's the best. Tansim said more details the better.
Okay. If we're talking about something about you don't get. I mean, this is not it's a medical term. If I would have said, "Hey, look, dude, you're gonna be," I can't say because Noreen is here, but I mean, you could say hung like a whatever. I mean, people can say that stuff, right? We didn't even mention that, right? I just simply said, "Hey, losing weight is better for you physically because with people."
We could have talked about much more effects of losing weight, including
Dude, I mean, I'm just saying. What I find is Maheen will be
there's a lot of positive effects for men by losing weight.
No, I'm just saying. What I find kind of funny is that Maheen will just talk about finding a second wife and just saying random stuff about his own wife.
Right. Well.
All right. I think I lost this argument, guys. I'm getting texts and.
So you tell the person that texts you tell them to pay $100, join the WhatsApp group, and convince them.
You see, okay, here's the thing. I mean, first of all, I respect the heck out of Eddie and Ali Dawa and Mohammed Hijab and all these other big time YouTubers, but we exist as a platform to speak plainly to each other. And if we are going to be policing each other's words so much, then it's probably better that you just watch Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawa, because I respect the heck out of those guys, by the way.
I think they're great.
They're amazing people. They're amazing duat. They deserve all the success they got. But maybe that's for you, because this channel is not. We talk plainly. We're here to have a good time. We're here to learn from each other at the same time, and we're here to share experiences as well. Learn from mistakes.
I'll be honest, dude. I love them for the sake of Allah and what they do, but I grew up watching videos like that my whole life, right? And for me, that has a certain time and place and a certain audience, right? I'm not catering to that audience, and because look, mashallah, a lot of people look at them and they say, oh, look, they're scholarly, they spend time in debates, they have all these things. That's not my normal life. These guys live that. They travel, they do these things, they actually dedicate all this time. Most average Joes, they have a job. Maybe if they're single or they're married, they have kids, and they're usually spending time watching Netflix or what I mean.
Here's the thing, more when I watched them when I was when I had my ups, highs, and lows in Iman, I mean, they seem so far off from where I could be. At least when I was when I was struggling with the religion, even the best of us struggle, but I'm nowhere near the best. But I'm just saying, everyone struggles. And there weren't people I could find, they weren't people I could relate to. And I felt like I would have benefited so much more when I was young, listening to the Mad Mamluks.
Someone who keeps it real.
Yeah.
Right?
Someone who is, you know,
Talking
who
on
has
your
their
level.
flaws. They
Yeah.
have their flaws and they're trying to improve,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense, Mort?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fine. I mean, look, dude, like I said, my approach may not be the best. I'm just speaking my mind. If you don't like it, I should have no bearing on your life, right? I mean, this is just my opinion, right? So I mean, these people are probably much more religious than I am, much more knowledgeable than I am. I'm just sharing what I feel, right? And my opinions can be wrong.
All right.
Like,
We
for
love you,
example,
Mort.
someone
Don't
in the
worry.
text just basically said, Mort sounds like the kind of guy who knows he's a jerk and he thinks it's endearing characteristic. No,
I
I
love
mean,
you.
look.
Whoever said that, I love them.
Yeah,
I love
but
you.
The thing is that I don't think I'm a jerk. Like, if I want to be a jerk, I can be a real jerk if I want to.
Yeah.
Like, I could be a jerk right now and say something back to you, but I don't do that because I try to prefer more on my logic, right? I think this is what logically makes sense to me. Why I say these things, right? I don't get in the tit for tat. Like, oh, I'm not upset that somebody doesn't like me, right? If you don't like what I say, let's debate it. Let's talk about it, right?
Well,
now, someone mentioned. Someone mentioned that you can disagree about the same person. You can disagree about whether you think a thing/idea is misogynist, but a person isn't a feminazi for pointing it out. Okay, well, that's fine. But then neither is someone who is against feminism, who is called who is labeled as toxic masculinity, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about those individuals that use these terms. So I rebuttal them with these terms because this is what they use. They do the same type of word games. So I throw it back to them. I say, if you are not the only ones that can throw terms. So when I say feminazis, it's not feminist. There are different waves of feminism. There are different groups of people who exist in the world today. But there are real feminazis that want to destroy men and make synthetic semen and do away with men completely. And so I'm speaking of them. I mean, like I said, that's where I get it from.
Let's move on. We have moving on in that whole vein of the whole Ali Dawah controversy. Mohammed Hijab ends up calling Sid, who is Dina's husband, a dayuth. Dayuth means he calls him a dayuth. Dayuth means, for those who don't know, it means a cuckold. It's someone
it's a very bad thing.
Yeah.
There's a hadith of Rasulullah. It says, "Ad-dayuth la tadkhul al-jannah," meaning the one who is a dayuth, he will never enter Jannah. And a dayuth defined, according to someone, is basically somebody who doesn't have ghira over the women folk that he is responsible for, meaning his sister, his wife, and his mother. Not only does he not have ghira, but what does it mean that he doesn't have ghira? It means that he actually gets excited, aroused with the fact that someone may be looking at his wife. Basically, in modern English, it's like a cuckold, right? When you call somebody a cuck, it's pretty much like this, right? And so these kinds of people.
Do you think that's
are
Okay,
but Allahu Alam. I don't know if that guy is. I don't want to label him something.
Well, apparently his pretext was that he was talking about oral sex with his wife in a.
I mean, for me, we know.
Kind of thing. That's what Mohammed Hijab was saying on the video. He was saying, like, he talks about oral oral sex with his wife. Who does that? Who wants their wife?
He didn't say. I know what he's talking about, and he didn't explicitly say it, but he implied it.
Yeah,
in a joke.
So I don't know what was said, but generally we know there's a hadith about talking about what you do in your closed doors and bedrooms, right? Like describing things and talking about it. This is obviously from a sin, right? And so if you are on a public platform, I wouldn't say that. You know what I mean? I even imply it.
Well, I think I would disagree with you, Mort, because I think in this situation where they went after his YouTube channel by making this copyright claim, and they need to come back hard.
No. I'm saying that. I know.
What do you think about that?
What I'm saying is, whether he's a dayuth or not, I mean, I don't know if he is. I wouldn't talk about.
Well, the youth.
If I was Sid, I wouldn't be implying anything about my wife on a public video.
Yeah.
Right. What I'm trying to say, like that. That to me is kind of
crossing the line.
Yeah, that is very strange to me that a man who is a Muslim man from a household generally that's practicing, from a cultural background, you don't talk about that kind of stuff. Like imagine your child growing up and watching a YouTube video of you mentioning, this about your wife, 10 years, 15 years later. How embarrassing, how dishonorable would that be? You know what I mean? Like, so based on that, Am I going to call him the youth? I don't know. I mean, I'm not a
Well,
scholar. I
no,
can't make the claim, but
it's not
I mean,
even that. I mean, like even
I am.
okay, forget about just that wording that he used. That innuendo. Having your wife as a fashionista. And it's not just her. It's many different people all over Instagram, and people can even argue, Sim, you're the youth for having your wife on your show, and I'm like, wait, I don't know what qualifies. That's the thing, because once I was thinking, I was watching one of these YouTube videos. I don't, even if I knew their name, I wouldn't say mention it. But there was a couple who does a lot of dances and singing. If you know them, don't mention their name. I don't like to call out people like that. But I was like thinking, that's not really the characteristics of Muslims, and that's fine if you're doing it like privately and it's like a sin on yourself. But when you're using your Islamic Muslim identity, I think it changes things, because that's what a lot of these YouTubers and Instagram artists are doing. They're getting their followers using their Muslim identity. If they were just not talking about religion at all, and it's just an entertainment platform where they're expressing their art in a way that pleases their audience without the mention of Islam.
So you know why I have a problem with this for a second, just throwing on the word the youth, because traditionally, I mean, there's varying definitions of what it means, but in the simplest form, it means basically that somebody who doesn't have ghira over his women folk, right? Now, the problem I have with that is...
Wait. Let me break it down.
Halal jealousy.
Right? I have an article on my phone right here.
I know, but one second. Before you get into that, let me just say this. The reason why I have a problem with using the terminology, though, is because even these articles that describe it, these are just describing symptoms. But when you look at the hadith about it, from my knowledge, it's talking about not having ghira or halal or natural jealousy over your women folk, right? But someone could say, hey, you know what? If your wife is on a YouTube video, you're the youth too. Why don't you hide her? You know what I mean? Like, you can start throwing these terms around, like, back and forth. And I think you have to be very careful when opening that door, in my opinion. Yeah. Right? Because the modesty to some people is so different from other people. Some cultures have more extreme ghira, which you don't.
I mentioned on one of my episodes that we never saw any of our teachers' wives or daughters, like when we went to their homes to learn the religion, we never knew what their wives looked like, their daughters. That was their level of ghira. That was his honor, his protection, and he didn't want us.
Yeah, to be honest, some of the teachers, when we go see them, we would say, "Kif ahlak?" Like, I would say, "How's your family?" I would never say, "How's your wife doing?" or "How's your daughter doing?" Right? You just ask generally about the family.
No, I'm not saying like that is the extent to what the ghira is, but that's the way that a lot of our teachers from back home, when they came to this country, they kept those practices. And I'm not saying that this is what level you need to be at in order to have ghira in your household. That's not what I'm saying. I want to make sure that that's clearly understood. I'm just saying that there's varying degrees of how ghira is implemented throughout various Muslim lands. And to one land, it would seem like, oh, these people are shameless and they're the youth. Maybe to another land, it may not be that case. But maybe...
And that's exactly why I feel like it's kind of hard to do that.
Mohammed Hijab is also an Egyptian as well, right? And Egyptians use that word more, not in a legal sense. They use the youth more loosely.
But the problem is, he said, Wallahi, he's the youth. Remember, he even said that if I'm lying, Allah curse me.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he does.
Right? So that's a little bit of a big... I think he means it in the Shari'i definition.
Oh, in the Shari'i definition.
So Allah, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he sincerely believes that. Or maybe he knows other things. Because remember, there was a conversation that happened that they didn't expose in private. Right. So maybe something happened there. Allahu alam. But I don't know what was said. I'm just saying, for me, what I see, what I know of him, I haven't seen anything. I haven't watched the guy's videos. I don't know. But I'm just saying, for me, that's a pretty big allegation, because, again, the hadith says, "Ad-dayuth la tadkhul al-jannah," meaning he'll never enter Jannah. Right? He won't enter Jannah.
Wow.
Right?
That's
it's a pretty
powerful.
big allegation.
So you wouldn't use it. I wouldn't need more information. I don't know enough about the brother.
And I'm a loudmouth.
Yeah. Generally, I find it distasteful that, there's Instagram sisters, and, you go on Instagram, you see all these, like, as soon as you launch Instagram, you see all these hijabi, pictures like where sisters are models of, on Instagram, and they're like, and I'm like, who's following this garbage, and you see that there's a lot of guys.
What's
who are
the
watching this.
baruj? The baruj? Someone said, the youth is any man who allows his women folk to practice the baruj.
The baruj. What does that mean, Mort?
It's how do I define that?
Oh, that's a nightly prayer. The
No.
baruj. That's when you wake up. Yeah, that's what you do when you want to pray later, and
That's
you want
the hajjud.
you. Oh, that's the hajjud.
The baruj, disobedience to Allah and His Messenger. Display of
Yeah, it
beauty.
means like it's like to no, tabarruj is like a woman, maybe like someone who adorns herself and walks around and just how openly displays themselves.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Okay. So then in that case, yeah, any man who allows his one foot to practice the baruj. Yeah, the baruj displaying beautification,
So-
the one showing off to strangers.
all right.
Anyway,
Well,
all right,
Anyway, is there anything else? I'm not even.
we're beating the dead horse.
I didn't.
All I
It
wanna
was
say
just the
is-
whole drama was interesting in terms of understanding what the youth is, and kind of brought back some memories of when we were young and how we were taught modesty and how you should implement protectiveness among your women. Women. Somebody gets upset about how I pronounce woman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I mean, like I said, I have I have the utmost respect for Ali Dawa and Mohammed Hijab. I think they do great work. This is by no means, if they want to.
No, Ali Dawa was disagreeing with him. You saw in the video, right? Ali Dawa was like,
but I'm saying, hey, look, bro, if you guys want to make, some nasiha to me, just hit me up on Twitter, man. Hey, if you want to, if that comment is to me, I don't know if it is to me or not, but if it is, I'm open to it. I don't mind. I'm not, the prideful where I won't take advice. So if you got something to say, just DM me or hit me up.
but you know what, man? What was so funny to me afterwards is just reading people's comments, especially like our own, practicing Muslims, who are, who would be, for all intents and purposes, considered in the camp of Ali Dawa and Mohammed Hijab, and they're the first one to condemn the guy, man. Like, you guys were the first. You guys are always the silent type. You never say anything when these guys are going on their, when the quote unquote non-practicing or liberal, I don't know what word you want to use, but people who don't give a bleep about their religion, when they're doing their stuff, you never say a word. You're like, oh, brother, you shouldn't cause fitna, and and all this other excuses for them, and they're even, you'll give them a free pass and everything, but Muhammad Hijab, no. Stuff
That's why I said very clearly. I'm like, hey, I don't know what transpired in a private messages or whatever.
But you're not condemning him though. You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
The difference
Yeah.
is from what you're doing is like you're just saying that it's we need more information essentially before we make a conclusion. But what other people
he's
are
more well-read than I am. He probably knows Islam better than I do, and
Yeah.
maybe he's defining it according to his knowledge.
Right.
And he could be. I'm an ignorant person. I don't know.
But why is it that our guys, what I mean by our guys, are practicing Muslims who are are generally considered on the same team, trying to get people to bring them towards the religion more. Our guys are the first one to jump on each other.
Crabs in a bucket, baby.
They're the first people. They like, what world are you in? Like, give the brother an excuse. He's your brother, and he's first of all just worked so hard his whole life to get to where he's at, and now you don't like it, and you found a way to bring him down. Exactly what you said, crabs in a bucket.
Yeah. Look, I think it's a dead horse. Look,
Yeah.
dude, I wish them the well, both parties involved. I personally don't follow that drama, but I just heard about it because of people talking about it. I think, to be honest, it's kind of petty. You know what I mean? Like, if you...
there's bigger problems in the world right now. There
Yeah.
was, who's that one brother? Not a brother, but who's that guy that congressman who got, was he a congressman?
What?
What are you talking about?
What?
I'm blanking out. Who was the one guy who made the news? The black brother, the black dude,
Oh, Mark Hill.
Mark Hill.
Mark Lamont Hill, right?
Mark Lamont. Yeah, Mark Lamont.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that, to be honest, is a bigger issue, man. That is
So people who don't know, Mark Lamont Hill was a contributor on CNN. And what else was he? I
think he did a lot of op-eds too as well.
Yes.
I think he did. But he's basically a known journalist and commentator. And he basically said, I unequivocally, support the Palestinian people. They have a right to exist. They have a right to the land. And their rights exist from land to sea or something. He said something of that nature, right? And they blew out of proportion. They're like, oh, he means he wants to drive all the Jews to the sea, off the land. And he's like, no, I've actually spoken against anti-Semitism before. This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that that Palestinians have a right to exist. And based on my analysis, the Israelis have been oppressing the Palestinians, and I side with them. And based on that opinion, he was forced out of the media pretty much, right? They black labeled him there. And now I even read, I think Noreen posted it, or somebody posted it, where they're thinking about criminalizing any speech against Israel.
Yeah. It's in the Huffington Post.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to happen.
See, that's a blog. I don't believe that, because I didn't find any other thing that mentioned that.
Yeah, we're not going to become like Europe, right? There's no way. I mean, I don't think it'll happen in America, but if it does, that is very appalling, but I doubt it'll happen. But the point is that this is how sensitive they get, but yet they have the freedom to talk about everything and everybody else.
What's really bothering the Israelis is any type of voice that is supporting the BDS movement. For anyone who doesn't know what the BDS movement is, it stands for boycott, divestment, and sanctions on anything that is coming from the state of Israel, or any business that is giving their profits to Israel. So when you're at the grocery store, don't buy Sabra Shatila. One of my own criticisms, sorry, not Sabra Shatila, Sabra hummus.
You know what? It's so messed up, because that's actually the genocide that happened with the phalangists, Sabra and Shatila in Lebanon.
Yeah,
in that area.
I meant Sabra hummus.
That is actually a very sad day, Nekba or whatever. So
it's perfect for that. I would say.
Yeah, mess it up. Typical Sim here. Absent-minded Sim.
Absent-minded Sim. Anyway, so what one of my criticisms of the BDS movement was that they would give like these list of companies that support Israel, like 100 different companies. I'm like, you guys, you're losing the plot here. Focus on 5 companies and make them feel the pinch. 5 companies across different product platforms.
One tech, one beverage, one. It could be. I mean, you want to hit each and every.
You got Sabra with the hummus industry. Hit Coke or Pepsi, whoever supports them, or Starbucks. Hit the drinks industry with one. And that way people have, are able to hang on to this without getting 100 different labels thrown at them, and they're not going to think about that at the grocery store. They're thinking about saving money, and you got to make things more easier for people to understand. So right now, in our family, we boycott Sabra hummus, right? And what else? Starbucks. No, we don't. Do we? Starbucks? Does Starbucks? No.
I don't even know if Starbucks really.
Starbucks
to be honest, look, I don't. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I don't think these divestment campaigns and stuff like that. I mean, that's fine if you want to take part in it. But I think the bigger idea is that you have to just keep talking about it. Talking about Israel's injustice is the thing they hate the most, right? Because the thing is, they're trying to erase the memory. From memory of people, the Palestinian people, right? They're trying to take away the fact that they existed. Right, they're trying to say, oh well, these Palestinians aren't even from there. They're Greeks. They're Arabs that came in afterwards. They're Egyptians. They're not native to the land. They're trying to wipe out any trace of existence of Palestinian people. So the more you talk about it, the more you refer to them as Palestinians, as the land as Palestine, it annoys them, right? Yeah. But one thing I found very appalling was, do you know that in that recent flood that happened in Texas, right?
Yeah.
Some of these government grants were being offered with the condition that you don't take part in the divestment campaign.
Huh.
Yeah.
Really?
It was actually an illegal. Yeah, I'll find it for you. I'll post it I'll give it to you later on. You can include it in the YouTube description. But it was actually a PDF that I found as well too. I actually looked it up, and it was a PDF that actually said, yeah, you cannot take part in a divestment campaign against Israel.
So
It's conditional for the loan.
Let me just put this up on the screen.
What is this?
This is the BDS website.
Oh, Nora's saying, yeah, they passed the anti-BDS law in Texas.
Oh, did they?
Wow.
So BDS, again, go to bdsmovement.net. We always have been supporters of the BDS movement and want to make sure that our listeners and everyone who knows about the Palestinian plight for the past however many decades gets involved and doesn't whatever they can to support the boycott, especially now that the boycott is under threat. It seems like, they know that the end game is near, that they have pretty much free reign over the territory that is known as Israel. They can do whatever they want with the Palestinians, take over their homes whenever they want. And now the last thorn in their side is the BDS movement that they want to crush. And make sure you get involved and, go here on their website and learn a little bit about it and find out who is supporting Israeli companies. And you don't have to go there on a daily basis here. We're reasonable people. Every once in a while, bookmark their website and check it out whenever you have a chance.
Yeah. So. But the problem that I have also is people don't realize this, but fundamentally it's wrong that in Texas that they actually passed an anti-BDS law, because the government fundamentally doesn't have the right to tell you who you can and can't do business with. If you don't feel like doing business with somebody and you're open about it, that's your right. It's a civil liberty. It's a freedom of expression, right? For the government to say you have to do business with certain people, that is almost authoritarian. That's exactly what we were against, right? This is why America fought the Revolutionary War, because they were against authoritarian rule, right? And so people, it seems that they're willing to compromise their own beliefs in order to satisfy a Zionist agenda, which is completely appalling to me.
Mort, you don't know this because you can't see Noreen on your screen.
What?
But she's completely tuned us out. Anytime we talk about politics, she just starts sipping on drinks, and she just has tuned us out. She's like, Israel, what's that?
Whatever.
Who? Wait, how? The Palestinians, aren't they Romans?
Listen, and you can't even attribute this to women, because our daughter is such a social studies, political.
Wait. Why did I say women?
I'm just saying.
Look at this, getting on the defensive.
I am defensive because
is this my toxic masculinity coming through?
Are we intimidating you with our political knowledge?
Do we feel repression?
This is my brain does not process.
Is it a safe spot right now?
Is our verbose language?
I'm just kidding. No, go ahead. We're interrupting you. What are you saying?
Hold on, but really quick, as Chavez said, unfortunately, there are some high-profile Muslims that encourage people to go against the BDS movement, particularly those from MLI.
Of course.
MLI is a joke to me.
Those weasels in the MLI,
they're rats.
We be careful anytime with this type of stuff. Just be careful with your language, because these guys are the first people to cry victim and go all over. And I'm talking about our own Muslim brothers and sisters who are going to the illegal state of Israel and participating in empathy competitions.
Tours.
What do they do? They try to they basically say there's two sides to the story, and you want to build empathy towards
birthright tours.
Dude, they get free vacation, they get free money, and then because of that they get to be all friendly and chummy with the Zionists. Dude, I don't buy that, dude. I think you're a rat. Is what it is.
Yeah, that's how. That's the way throughout Muslim history. Empires after empires were fallen. There's situations with so many of the the Ottomans and the Abbasids,
I mean,
where princes and viziers were used. They're
Yeah.
Allah said very clearly in the Quran, do not take them as your awliya, as your
right.
friends and protectors, you know?
Well,
Very-
And not like friends, like your neighbor friends.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
What
this
it
is
means
on the
people that you
Protectors.
seek advice and guidance from. And so why this is important, this verse is important, is because, and this is kind of relating to what AK 4680 asked, what is MLI? MLI is called the Muslim Leadership Initiative, and it is from the Shalom Hartman Institute, which is based in Israel. It was based on a Rabbi Hartman, who migrated from Montreal to Israel in 1961 or 71, one of the two, and he founded this university. It was a Beit Midrash, which is basically a study hall for Torah studies, and he had this idea of, actually, what's funny is that he's not the original one to come up with this idea. It was actually Ben Gurion that actually came up, Menachem Begin, I think, that came up with this idea that we should try to appeal to non-Arab Muslims who don't know so much, and appeal to their better senses and try to manipulate them and make them, because he said it's very difficult to persuade the Arab population that Zionism is correct. So let's try to target non-Arab Muslims like the Turks, like the non-Arabs like Pakistanis and Indians, Asian other Muslims and African Muslims, and try to target them and make them see that Israel also has a right to exist alongside with the Arab state or potential. And so what they've done is they have created this 13-month program where you come out and they pay for your lodging and your hospitality, and you basically learn from them. You learn like their way of life, their objective. You maybe you spend some time on the kibbutz. You go to these evening classes. You interact with families. You have a host family. You get to live. Basically, it's a big publicity stunt where they try to persuade you that Jews are just loving people that want to exist, and they have no problem with Palestinians, but Palestinians are basically trying to kill them, and so they're just defending themselves. And so, they hope that you can change your mind about that. And so, what they've done is they've targeted people like Harun Mogul, another guy from New York, Imam Abdullah,
Rabia Chaudhry, Imam.
Yeah, but she's not a board member. I mean,
Imam
yeah. Abdullah Aitepi, I think, is another guy. Is one, and Harun Mogul is the other one.
Yeah, you should. The viewers are seeing it on their screen right now.
Did it
Okay, cool.
Wajahat go or no?
No, I don't think he's part of the leadership though.
Oh.
Who?
Wajahat Ali?
Abdullah, you mean?
No, Wajahat.
No, Wajahat. No. This Imam Abdullah is, and Harun Mogul are. These two are part of the.
Yeah, they're the Muslims.
Co-founders and whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
Co-director.
But again. What are they?
Imam Abdullah Antepli is the MLI co-director, and Harun Mogul is a fellow in Jewish-Muslim relations.
Okay, so you can see what this kind of is, right? So it's a front for basically trying to infiltrate into the non-Arab Muslim population who really isn't too affected by the trials and tribulations of Palestinians. And they've also very smartly, they have targeted Muslim content creators that want recognition. People like Rabia Chaudhry, and who's the other guy? Hassan Minhaj?
No, not Hassan.
No.
Wajahat Ali, I'm sorry.
Wajahat Ali.
Yeah. People who have skills in their area, but they're not necessarily getting recognition from the mainstream Muslim body. So they offer them a platform and they woo them that way. And so they get to use this platform and funding, and they get to get onto the media stage. And so it's a very smart tactic. But this is what MLI is essentially. And so this is why I view them as rats. I mean, people wondering why I'd said that. And it's because I feel like that they know exactly, you can't be blind to Palestinian oppression, right? It just doesn't, I'm not saying that everything that Palestinians are 100% right in what they do and their motives and in how they approach the situation. But there's no doubt in my mind that the bigger and the larger aggressor is Israel, the state of Israel. The state of Israel has solely the power to have peace or to have war. And they choose to have war all the time.
And it's not even a matter of like the Palestinians wanting to, if the Palestinians gave up, they said, you know what, we'll assimilate into your country. Just, we give up. We could give up the right of state, of a independent Palestinian state. They don't even want that. So what do they want? They just want the Palestinians to leave their land, and the Israelis want the Palestinians to go to Jordan or some other country and be their problem. And that's why it's very easy for a lot of the Palestinians to leave their lands, and it's very difficult for those who want to stay. So we as Muslims, we owe a lot to those brothers who are still out there in Al-Quds, and they're still forming that one prayer line that is taking place in Al-Aqsa. You'd think that there would be many rows of prayer. There's only one line usually.
People don't understand also that they make it very difficult to enter Al-Aqsa. Sometimes you'll find those pictures of people outside of Al-Aqsa praying behind the barriers because they won't allow them to get in time for Jummah khutbah. So they have to just form their rows outside, right? These people have really, really, truly, and truly, I mean, they have suffered a lot in order just to maintain their identity and to keep Islam there. Also, a thing to note is that there's a group, I forgot the name, but they are reviving this idea of making a pilgrimage, to Masjid al-Aqsa to remind the Muslims.
Yasser Qadi does that. Mufti from Houston, what's his name?
Kamani? No.
Wasim?
Wasim Sharif?
No.
I'm sure you can post the links later.
But there are some
point
scholars
is that
who are doing that.
this is an important idea and a concept because it makes sure that the idea of Masjid al-Aqsa and Al-Quds is fresh in the minds of Muslims.
And never get tired of it. This is something that we as Muslims should never get tired of reminding each other. If you can make a pilgrimage out there and you can support some of the Muslims who have businesses in and around Jerusalem, make sure you support them and give them your money, because these are your brothers who are still holding on to that land. They're the last stand, So we as Muslims, owe them whatever we can, whatever's in our capability. If you can't afford going there, well, tell your kids about it. Spend an evening telling your children about the importance of Jerusalem, and make sure that you remind them every so often, because this shouldn't be something that, as decades go by, that I remember my parents talking about it once or twice, but then they forgot about it. These are things that, as parents, me and Noreen, we always have. Whenever a question pops up from the kids, we end up taking a good amount of time where we explain thoroughly so that they understand, so that there's no. You want to crystallize these ideas with your kids. You want to make sure that there's nothing in doubt, where people, when they leave to college and live their life, that they don't end up losing these important principles that we're taught.
Well,
there's one thing I want to stress here, though, and that is that make sure they understand that the reason why Al-Aqsa is important to us is because of an Islamic reason. It is one of the holy lands for us, right? A flag can come and go, right? A culture can come and go, but that area is called Al-Ard al-Muqaddasa. Like, it is a holy land for us, right? That is the place where, all the Anbiya gathered, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam made Isra wal Miraj from there, right? It's not like some.
Was it there or Dome of the Rock?
I mean, well, the whole Al-Quds, the whole area, right?
Oh,
it's
okay,
called Ard al-Muqaddas, right?
Oh, okay.
So, the entire area is a holy land, right? Ard al-Mubarakah, right? The Quran mentions it. So it's not just about their Palestinian identity. Yes, I understand. We empathize. If you are an Arab listening, sometimes as Arabs think about, Allah, wahid, we're all dammana wahid, we're all one blood, whatever. That's all fine. That's nationalism, whatever. If you want to do that, it's fine. But the main essence, the core reason is that this is a holy site for us. It is one of the 3 holy sites. Do not ever lose like that. Don't let anybody forget that, right? It doesn't matter, what kind of people live there or whatever, or who, even if there's one person living there, right? That area is holy to us.
Yeah.
And we should be able to visit it, and we should be able to keep it, we should be able to have at least some control over those holy sites.
Nora is saying that Congresswoman-elect Rashida Tlaib is leading tours in Palestine for freshman congressmen instead of the Israeli trip. Is that true?
Can you repeat that? She's leaning towards?
No, leading
You know how they have-
tours.
Oh,
Tours. She's
Okay.
taking the freshman congressman to Palestine instead of Israel.
If
Well,
that's true, that's good.
that's great.
That's
But
good.
you know,
Yeah.
she took money from a Israeli,
Yeah.
an Israeli
J Street.
pack. Yeah,
What was
J
it called?
Street.
Yep.
Sure, that could be wrong too. But if she's doing this,
I mean, but she
and she's actually-
apparently they returned the money after Electronic Intifada exposed the whole thing. So she ended up returning that money, and they withdrew their funding
Support,
to her.
officially.
So
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, Allahu Alam, what happens with that? But if she's actually taking people there with the intention of showing them Palestinians and showing their plight,
yeah,
I support that. That's good.
it's good, and hopefully she learned her lesson that Muslims won't tolerate that kind of stuff, because we understand that when you go into Washington you have to play some politics, but you're completely dropping, or the wheels falling off of everything you've campaigned for. You talked about Muslim rights and Palestinian causes, and all of a sudden when you're getting into office you take money from Israeli lobbyist groups. What does that say about you? You think you're going to do Palestinian work, or work that will favor the Palestinians with Israeli money? You think that's possible? Are you that naive? These are things that we have to understand. Like, a lot of people make this excuse for a lot of our politicians who happen to be Muslims. They say, "Oh, you got to make an excuse for them. They're in Washington. They have to do politics." And then I'm like, then why did I vote for them?
Okay.
Why are they there?
I want to move on to the next
Yeah.
topic because it's 9:23 and we should be wrapping up
Yeah.
soon. But George H.W. Bush passed away this week, and we saw a lot of Muslims on social media praising his life and his.
There's people who condemned it as well. This is the guy who kicked it off. I mean, he's the original liar. He's the one who caused a war under false pretenses.
What did Saddam call Akbar Shaitan?
Yeah,
Wait, the Gulf War?
yeah, he's the
Saddam
original
Hussein
Gulf
called
War.
him Shaitan.
The
Yeah,
Gulf
he
War.
called him.
Wait, the Gulf War was also under false pretense?
Yeah, the original Gulf War. I mean, yes, Saddam.
Well, what they said was Saddam wasn't playing along with them, and so they used this idea that Saddam invaded
There's
Kuwait.
evidence to suggest that the Americans
Kuwait
gave Saddam the green light, and then they later pulled it, saying that no, we
There's
didn't.
also evidence that they were slant drill. They gave Kuwait the green light, also the slant drill, and that's what Saddam said. Oh well, they're stealing oil. So there's a whole garbage. Also, we know the Americans also sent leaflets to the Kurds to rebel against Saddam during that same moment as well too. So there's a lot of evil politics that happened, and Saddam wasn't having it, and that's how the war started in the beginning.
Yeah, look.
not saying
Normally, I don't comment on this. My only thing, what bothers me is when Muslims start praising them. And this is, I would understand if it's non-Muslims. They have an attachment to an oppressive president. Maybe they're more probably in that political world, and they're probably
It's usually a Republican or Democrat, right? Oh, if he's a Republican, you're like, oh, best man, God rest his soul. If he's a Democrat or whatever, warmonger, dead. No one cares, right? I mean, it's the same thing about vice versa. It depends if a Democrat, if Carter dies, all the Republicans are going to be like, oh, another, loser gone. And the Democrats will be like, oh, a great president dead, So it's all just banter.
As
Yeah,
Muslims.
but one thing I want to just say real quick, Sim. I just want to mention this one thing before we shut down. We've got to talk about this, dude. That clip with Sajjad is going viral, dude. Like,
Oh, yeah.
are messaging me,
Yeah.
hey, I heard this clip of you in it, and I'm like, what clip?
Oh
And
yeah. Tell the listeners about what that clip is.
So,
We did an episode with
with Sajjad,
Sajjad Khan.
okay, Shah,
No,
Shah.
Shah.
Sajjad
Shah,
Shah, okay.
God.
And he is like a marketing director, or I think senior for Minder, right?
Yeah.
Minder.
Yep.
And Muslims of the World, the founder.
So no, but he actually Muslims of the World is his project.
Yeah.
So he actually owns that thing, right? So while we invited him to the podcast to talk about Minder, it just transitioned. He's just, blew our mind with all these other things that he does, right? And so
And he's
one of
only
those-
26 years old. mind you.
One of those things being Muslims of the world, where if for those of you that are not familiar with this, it's basically a picture of a Muslim randomly in the world, and you know, a little caption to describe why that picture was chosen, who these people are.
It's the Muslim version of Humans in New York, essentially.
Yes. So he told us this heart-moving story. Like, it literally had us all in awe and shock. And he told us this story is going to like
Move
really
you,
hit you.
yeah.
It's going to impact you. And he told the story of, you know what? I don't even go listen to the podcast. It's that famous. I mean, that heart-wrenching that it became a viral clip that people don't even know it's us.
Yeah.
The podcast.
So
They just took that
Guys,
clip.
if you're going to be making clips of us, give us a at least put an icon or something along with it that's saying that came from the Mad Mamluks.
So the way I knew about it is
we won't file copyright infringement on you. We do not do that. There's no copyright in Islam.
So one of my friends that is pretty successful, he works for UL. He's the guy that signs off on all your little batteries that are UL compliant. So he's out in Taiwan right now, and he texts me and he goes, "Hey man, a great clip I heard of you." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, my dad sent me this 3-minute clip. I didn't hear the whole thing, but I can hear you toward the ends of it. And you're on the show or this thing with the Muslim, with I think it was Hala. What was the name of the woman?
Hala Atiq.
Yeah, Hala Atiq. Yeah, that's the name, right? And so I'm like, "Oh, what are they talking about?" So he sent me the clip, and I played it, and I'm like, "Oh, the one with Sajjad." And he's like, "Yeah," and like, "Yeah, it's gone viral. I'm hearing it everywhere," he told me. And I'm like, "Oh my God, it actually went out." But the story, I can see why, because the story is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that is probably one of the best stories that I've heard on any of the podcasts that I have hosted, right? I mean, I'm not sure about other episodes, but that one probably touched me the most. And I'm not an emotional guy. You guys can see I'm pretty much, I have zero empathy and zero sympathy, but I mean, that really like touched my heart.
So the episode number for that one is anyone?
Yeah, I have it. It's I'll tell you right now because I posted 120.
Should I give like a
129?
Sample?
No, I put the sample. I put the clip. I clipped it and made it a YouTube clip now, so we get credit for it instead of that. Yeah, so I put it in
she's the brains of the operation.
I do all the behind the scenes stuff.
So are we famous now or something or what?
Yeah. Anyone, if you guys see anything cheesy on Twitter, that's not me. It's her.
What? I don't write anything on your Twitter.
I don't know.
I'm
just blaming you in advance. When anytime you see anything corny or something I didn't know Sim would post something like that. It's probably her.
No, I don't. You're
so
right. I don't touch it.
All right, guys.
All right, Jazakallah khair. Thank you
Let's
guys.
leave your marital drama for another episode.
All right.
Do our ending credits now. Make sure you guys donate to LaunchGood. Become a monthly patron on patreon.com/themamamlukes. We've got 10 days left of our LaunchGood. Although we're at like 3,000 something and trying to get to 5,000. And you can join our WhatsApp group. It's what if I had to call it the New York City of WhatsApp groups, the WhatsApp group that never sleeps. Yeah. We do sleep, but it's pretty popping. We're having a lot of fun in that chat. So donate to us, get in on the fun, and yeah, I think you're about to.
Cool.
Some people are saying that we're alt-right. Some listeners.
Whatever. Hocus pocus. Whatever.
Who's saying we're all right?
Oh, I don't care, dude.
All right.
Where's your ending?
Where's your ending credits?
All right. I'm getting to it.
No, your sponsors. Yeah.
All right.
Real quick run through.
Hafardeen.com. Go there for a private matrimonial hookup experience.
And they're going to be in Chicago December 29th doing Hafardeen, what's it called? Offline.
The offline meetup.
I guess you get to meet with people, and I will be volunteering there.
And so will I, keeping my eyes on Sim.
I back out. Cancel the
All right, next.
All right. wahidinvest.com. Make sure your investments are being invested in a Sharia compliant manner. Go to wahidinvest.com. And lastly, mywasiya.com. Get a Sharia compliant will made in as little as 15 minutes.
Hey, you're just zooming in on Noreen, by the way. There's no.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay.
You're seeing this slow.
You see me, but they see the ad.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've moved on from that scene.
All right.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all later. Have a good evening. Assalamu alaikum.
What's up?